Okay. All right. Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahuwah, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. This lesson is going to be going into a question, that I received regarding, was American slavery a punishment? And it absolutely was. There's no doubt about it that the Most High judged Israel because of the wickedness and the iniquity that it has committed, man. Okay, in the past, starting from basically when we were a nation, when we were first formed as a nation, we've been committing iniquity. Ezekiel, the 16th chapter, goes into that. But I wanted to go ahead and open up, and I'll just do my screen share, my typical screen share. If you brothers can hear me, could say shalom on the comment board. Let's go ahead and share the screen real quick. Lord willing, this edifying lesson. All right. So here we go. This is Baruch chapter 1, verse 19. It says, since the day that Yahuwah, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, brought our forefathers out of the land of Egypt unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto Yahuwah, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, our power. Okay? It says we've been disobedient to the Most High. It says, and we have been negligent in not hearing his voice. So if you actually read the history of our people, you got to start at Genesis, man. A lot of these questions that we have that a lot of people may have when they question the situation that they find themselves in the year 2022. Okay, and they think back on the history of, man, the slave ships. It was just such a terrible history. Well, guess what? That was a punishment. That was a punishment, man. Let me get the scripture real quick, and I believe it's in Zechariah. Zechariah chapter 1. Okay. Let me see here. This is Zechariah chapter 1. Let me see if I want to. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's why you got to know the history, man. Because basically Babylon, you got to know about Babylon the Great. The original Babylonian Empire, my bad, two different things. The Babylonian Empire, which was ruled by Nebuchadnezzar, which I had the timeline from last, couple streams ago. I'm still sharing my screen. Hold on. But I had this timeline from a couple of streams ago pulled up, on the actual screen recording, on the screen share. But if you brothers look up the timeline, this is what really helped me. I've had this for a few years now, and it's really helped. This timeline right here. You can look it up, but pretty much from David to Zerubbabel, you can just look it up on Google, and basically, it tells you, the kings of the northern kingdom and the kings of the southern kingdom, okay, which led to the Babylonian Empire. Okay, so we were taken out of our land somewhere around 600 BC. Okay, so 600 years before Yahuwah Shai popped up on the scene. That was when basically the first temple was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, and so during this time period, Israel was taken to the land, out of the land of Israel into the land of Babylon. Now, why is this important? Because we're reading this scripture here in Zechariah, who was, around the time of the Babylonian Empire, towards the end of it, towards that transition between them. Basically when the Medo-Persian Empire, which followed the Babylonian Empire, was ruling. Okay, now, hey, and by the way, this stuff may go over your head if you've never heard of it before, if you've never researched it before. Like the first time you heard about, George Washington, the first president, and the first time you heard about the you know, the Revolutionary War and all this stuff. You gotta actually go over it multiple times to actually get it in your head. Okay, so if this sounds like something that I'm just kind of pulling out of my behind, go look it up, man. It's in the Bible, man. Okay, so you can Google it, or you can actually read the scriptures. Books like First Kings, Second Kings. Go over the history of that timeline that I just showed. All right, now we're going to get into why that's important, why that pertains to American slavery in a bit. But let's read this scripture here in Zechariah 1 and 12. This is Zechariah chapter 1, verse 12. Then the angel of the Lord, Yahuwah, answered me and said, O Yahuwah of hosts, answered and said, O Yahuwah of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah? And let me go back to share my screen too, real quick. Share screen. Okay, go back to sharing this real quick. Zechariah chapter 1 and 12. Then the angel of the Lord Yahuwah answered and said, O Yahuwah of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 70 years? And a score is 20. So 3 times 20 is 60, plus 10 is 70. So 70 years, basically, the southern kingdom, the Israelites, the Judites, Benjamites, and the Levites that dwelt in the land of Judah during the time of, that dwelt in the southern kingdom, or basically the land of Judah. They were brought over to the land of modern day Iraq, Babylon, the actual city of Babylon. Okay. But it was an empire, and basically Nebuchadnezzar ruled during the time that the Israelites were in captivity there. He slated for us to be taken away. You gotta learn. You gotta actually read this stuff. I can go over it and tell you all it's because when we went over these things, over time. So it says, and the Lord Yahuwah answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy. And by the way, just as a footnote, these lessons, these questions, they may take 35, 45 minutes to actually answer it, and according to the scriptures in its entirety to a acceptable degree, because here at Great Millstone, man, we answer questions according to the scriptures, according to the Bible. So people that have short attention spans, pray to the Most High to give you the attention span to actually sit down and get the full understanding of this question, the full understanding of the answer of the question, I should say. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy, because the Lord pretty much doesn't like to see Israel in a state of slavery and captivity, but it's a necessary evil because of the disobedience that we've had towards the Most High, right? And pretty much, the heathen, they're not meant to be ruling over us, man. We're supposed to be ruling over them. It says in verse 15, I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, because again, these other nations, even going back to the time of the Babylonian Empire, 700 BC, the Babylonians were chilling. If you read Daniel, the chapter with the writing on the wall, pretty much they were having a feast. They were bringing in the Lord's cups and things like that belonged to the temple. They brought them out and partied with them. So the heathen were at ease. They were like, yeah, we can finally kick our feet back. We've conquered all these nations. We got the Israelites. We destroyed their temple. We're good, right? But the Most High's wrath is kindled. it says, "For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction." Okay, so the Most High was displeased with with his people, with the Israelites, which is the reason why he put put us in slavery or in captivity. Okay, but the heathen made the Most High even more angry, even more displeased, because now they've excelled beyond the measure that the Lord of judgment that the Lord really, that we really should have got. Like, for example, the chattel slavery that we received. If you go into chattel slavery, just look that up. Just look at some images of this stuff here. Let's check it out. You brothers can see that there. We were sold on auction blocks. You see that? Edomites with the cigars, probably some small hats, or just regular peasant Edomites. But they got us in captivity. See, I got the women up here, the woman with the baby and the man right here, on the auction block. It says right here, if you brothers can see it, I'm zooming in underneath this, on this podium that they're standing on: Negroes for sale at auction this day at 1 o'clock. Right? So this isn't just some stuff that's made up, just because it was hundreds of years ago. Oh, now it just doesn't matter. This stuff actually happened, man. We were actually, put in captivity, man. It says the slave owners, we were property, right? We were property basically to Esau. Okay. Let's see if there's some more stuff. Yeah. The cotton gin. We've got the bales of cotton, putting it through the cotton gin to get the seeds out, and Esau's making money. You see him in the background making money. So how do we end up in this position? Well, let's go back to Baruch 1. Baruch chapter 1, verse 19. And people think it's a game. The Most High is not playing, man. He put us in captivity. Multiple captivities over the course of, a couple thousand years. Over the course of hundreds and hundreds of years, we've been in captivity, man, by various different nations. I'm gonna read it again. Baruch 1 and 19. Since the day that the Lord Yahuwah brought our forefathers. See, that's the thing. You got to believe that you're an Israelite, and it makes sense that we're Israelites because we're the ones in captivity. Since we were brought out of the land of Egypt unto this present day, and Baruch was a contemporary with Jeremiah, so that was right before the Babylonian Empire basically took over Jerusalem. Okay, it says, unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto the voice, unto Yahuwah our power, and we have been negligent in not hearing his voice. Wherefore the evils cleaved unto us, and the curse which Yahuwah appointed by Moses his servant at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt, to give us a land that floweth with milk and honey, like as it is to this day. See, you can't forget that part. Okay, we actually are literally we are under a curse. We're under the curses, man. It's because of the curses, so yes, slavery is a punishment. If you get put in captivity in slavery, that's a punishment. Matter of fact, you only have I known. Let's get that real quick. Amos 3 and 2. It's Amos 3 and 1. It says, hear this word that Yahuwah has spoken against you. You see, how many times do we have to read scriptures that say that are speaking directly to Israel for our people to get that he's being selective in the audience that he's speaking to? How many times do we have to read it? It's like every scripture basically addresses Israel every single time, every chapter. It's like, Yeah, talking about Israel. So if you don't get it, that's on you, man. The Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Hear this word that Yahuwah has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. And so, again, we keep going into these scriptures that in the Spirit's leading this lesson. I didn't, I just thought of it, but it says the same thing. The family which the Most High brought up out of the land of Egypt. Who are those people, man? Who are those people? Who are the descendants of those people? It's not some ambiguous concept that Esau tries to make. Oh, well, the mothers and the fathers. No, it's the patriarchy, man. Okay. According to the scriptures, the bloodline goes through the father. So it's not as confusing as Esau. Esau is the father of confusion, man. That's why this place is Babylon the Great, Babylon 2.0. Okay, because even though Esau wasn't ruling in the Babylonian Empire, Nebuchadnezzar, he wasn't an Edomite. Okay, but Esau, he's ruling in Babylon the Great, which we're going to get to Revelation. But it says, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Now, what is iniquities? Let's get the word in, kind of zoomed in a little bit. In the Hebrew, punish you for all your iniquities. Strong's H 5771. I won. It says iniquity, punishment. Okay, here we go. Perversity. Okay, in the eyes of the Most High. See, the Most High has a standard. People don't live by no type of standard, man. They don't think that the Most High is actually he actually cares about what you do and how you live your life, but he does. It says depravity, iniquity, guilt, or punishment of iniquity. Evil, basically, more in a moral sense, evil. Okay, so we've committed. We've been, basically perverse, man. He's found fault in us, mischief. Perversity, depravity, deprivation, or a crime. Bros can see right here. So we committed a crime, man. Multiple crimes as a nation, against the Most High. The Most High gave us the laws, So let's go. That was the point in that, actually. And I believe that was also the point. Nope, you know what? I'm going to keep going. Verse 21. Nevertheless, we have not hearkened unto the voice of Yahuwah, our power. You know what? I want to pause here real quick. Until you understand the timeline from Genesis all throughout Exodus, Leviticus is, mostly like the law. Numbers and Deuteronomy is a little bit more narrative and law as well in there. All the way through Joshua, through 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings. You're really not gonna understand like these types of scriptures that's kind of like giving an overview of like the history of our nation. When we were in our land, when the Israelites were in their land, right? We are the Israelites. When we were in our land, we knew our history. We knew that the Most High brought us out of the land of Egypt through plagues. We knew, we understood that we walked on dry ground. He parted the Red Sea so that we can go from the land of Goshen into the land of Canaan. We knew our history. And, as a Christian, you just are taught Jesus. You don't really learn like the actual story, like the narration of what was called the Torah, the law, Tharawah. That's that's why you say law in Hebrew, Tharawah or Torah. And so, which is like they call it the first 5 books of Moses. So basically, until you actually sit down and like take a month or 2 or 3 to actually like understand the history. Like if you can read through a Harry Potter book, which I never have done, you can read the narration, and you can just do an audio Bible. I mean, you could get through that stuff in not even a month, if you really wanted to. So this is really like, in order to answer these questions and really for somebody to get the understanding on a spiritual level, you kind of have to have like a foundation of like what even happened in the Bible. You know what I mean? So anyway, I just want to throw that footnote out there. Baruch chapter 1, verse 21. Nevertheless, we have not hearkened unto the voice of Yahuwah, our power, according unto all the words of the prophets whom he sent unto us. And there's so many chapters that basically the prophets have talked about. Excuse me, there's so many chapters that you can read about that the prophets talk about us going against the Most High, going against his ways, and walking according to the ways of the heathen. And here's the final part in this verse, and in this point here. But every man followed the imagination of his own wicked heart. They basically said, F the Most High. I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. It sounds crazy, but guess what? If you don't do what the Most High told you, that's what you're saying. That's you walking according to the imagination of your own heart. Okay? Because what are you going to do when you don't listen to the Most High? You don't follow his ways. You're going to serve other gods. Like it says here, to serve strange gods and to do evil in the sight of Yahuwah, our power. Okay? And people think that, we're exaggerating when we say, Valentine's Day, Christmas, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Easter. When we say that these holidays are wicked pagan gods that they're worshiping, people think that we just coming out our own ass. Look up the history, man. Look up the origins of these pagan folly days. We call them folly days, man. It'll show you. Okay, so let me answer the question directly now. For the people that's been tuning in. Okay, since we've kind of prefaced this with Moses bringing us, into the land. Really Moses didn't bring Joshua brought us into the land, but Moses kind of, he led us up, up into the land. So we started actually taking down the Canaanites. Now, we go over this chapter all the time, but it's extremely important, man. It's extremely important. This is like Moses's last words, okay? Pretty much. This is like Moses's final message to Israel. These last few chapters in Deuteronomy. And so before he died, this is what he said. It's very important to know, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord Yahuwah, thy God, or thy power, to observe, because there's other gods that people worshipped back during that time. And there are still other gods that people worship today. Okay? Look it up. The Bible has them in there, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I commanded thee this day, that Yahuwah, thy God, thy power, will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Okay, so this is a situational statement. Okay, it's based on the situation. If you hearken diligently, then the Most High will bless you. Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy power. Okay, and you can read the blessings, beautiful blessings that obviously we are not currently experiencing right now, because the latter has come to pass. Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken, if you will not hearken, if you are a hard-headed, stubborn nation of people, this is what's going to happen. If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Let's look up that word curses real quick. Qualayum. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it wouldn't be that word. Actually is hold on, let me go back. Excuse me. Ha-qualawath. So I guess curses is like a feminine word. Wath at the end of a word, pretty much denotes a plural as well, but in a feminine form. So qualawath. Okay. Ha-qualawath is the curses. Okay. So yeah, see that? Feminine noun. I didn't even have to look down there to see. It was a feminine word. So yes, Hebrew does have masculine and feminine words. A curse, vilification, execration, imprecation, a curse, execration. Let's look up these words. Execration. Execrate. Feel or express a great loathing for. Execration. Curse, basically. Yeah. Yeah, basically a curse. We know what a curse is. Let's look up the word curse. If you look it up, a solemn utterance, a solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. Okay, a malediction. Yeah. So, hey man, the Most High gonna basically jack us up, and we are getting jacked up. Yes, that's a punishment. American slavery as a punishment. Okay, starting in verse 16, here's all the curses. They're long as hell. See how much longer they are than the blessings? Very, 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 very descriptive. You should read all of these because it lets you know that we're definitely those people. All right, and then the last curse you could say is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. And the Lord, Yahuwah, shall bring thee into Egypt again. Now remember, we were just brought out of Egypt. We were brought out of Egypt by what? By the power of the Most High. Okay? And we were in the wilderness for 40 years. Before we were led into the land of Israel, we were dwelling in the wilderness for 40 years. It says, so this is the end of that 40 years. The end of those 40 years, Moses, pretty much spoke these words that we're reading here in Deuteronomy 28. It says, and Yahuwah shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Talking about the land of Israel. We're not going to see Israel, which we had. We were in the land, at one point. The Lord brought us there and he took us out. Okay. We're not in Israel right now. If you're watching this video, you are probably not in Israel. And even if you are, it's not your land. Other people are inhabiting that land and claiming that land, and you can't overthrow them because they, at this point, right now, are allowed to live there for these last couple years until the Lord dusts them off, however long it take. Hopefully, Lord willing, this year or next year, because things are definitely ramping up according to prophecies. Okay, thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall ye be sold unto your enemies for bondwomen, for bondmen and bondwomen, slaves. Okay, slaves sold unto our enemies. Sold unto our enemies. Okay, this is a picture of a sale. Okay, an auction. The man in the chair to the left is sitting, looking to see how much he's going to purchase these Israelites for. Okay, I just typed chattel slavery and look at all these pictures popping up of auctions. There's a difference between, slavery, where it's kind of like, it's a slave, but it's really like a servant. It's more kind of like a servant, but it's a slave is a servant, but a servant in the sense of, he can be let free. You know what I mean? These people aren't let free, man. You see the picture of the Edomite with the whipping Jake, got him in chains, got the women, separating the woman, the mother from the child, got the little baby down here. Esau auctioning off, man. And no, there weren't any cameras back then. Okay, for pictures. Well, but you know what? Here's some pictures, probably from the 1800s of a Jake's back. They got whooped to smithereens. Okay, this is stuff you can Google, man. All right, they had niggas were a commodity, man. You see this at the bottom of this picture here? Slave auction. I don't know if y'all can see that. Slave auction at Richmond, Virginia. And they got a nigger woman right here getting auctioned off, man. These are Israelites. You understand? Look at that. You see that? They got them there in a cloth like a dang on beast. These are our forefathers, man. Okay? I don't even have to. I just typed in chattel slavery, brothers, and I'm just scrolling down. I'm just scrolling down the thing here, and guess what pops up? Slave ship. A slave ship. A slave ship. And these little black things are bodies, man. It says a slave ship around 1780, 400 people plus in a 28 to 30 meter ship. So we were packed like sardines in a fucking can, brought from the west coast of Africa. They taught you about the transatlantic slave trade, in high school, right? Well, this is it in the Bible. Okay? Bet your pastor's not bringing that out, man. Bringing out this scripture, teaching you that you're Israelites, because then that would alienate the heathen that's in the other churches, and then he'd lose out on money. It says, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, no man shall redeem you. Yahuwah is going to be the one to redeem us. We were brought here, we're still here. We were brought here in ships, and we're still here, man. Okay? So guess what? People think it's a joke or a game. We say, man, look. Think it's a game, man. Why are we in this? Why are we in this? Why did this happen? Why did this happen to us? Baruch chapter 4, verse 6. You were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved the Most High to wrath. So we pissed the Most High off. Okay? But because ye moved the Most High to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies. For ye provoked him that made you. Do we understand that the Most High created us? Did we forget that the reason why we even exist is because of Yahuwah Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai? Yeah, we forgot that at one point in time. You know? And without the understanding of like reincarnation, this might seem a little far-fetched, but guess what, man? The same spirits, you know, that were going off hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, are the same spirits that are in existence today here on earth. You know, the Israelites, man, and we're catching hell for it. For you provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to the Most High. You've forgotten the everlasting power that brought you up, and you have grieved Jerusalem that nursed you. So, you know, like, what more needs to be said, man? Sacrificing unto devils. We provoke the Most High by sacrificing unto devils. And Jake still does it. Our people still do it. They still get abortions. They still buy Christmas trees. They still, on the 17th of this month, 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now, they're going to be flooding the churches, giving a tax refund money to the church to make themselves feel better, because the pastor's going to give this excellent, oration to make everybody feel like as long as you tithe, we'll be good. You'll be good with the Most High. Meanwhile, it's a big ass crucifix of white Jesus behind them, insinuating that the only begotten Son of the Most High, the Messiah, is an Edomite. Let's just look up crucifix, shall we? Church, crucifix. Boop. Let's see what pops up. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? An Edomite. Wrong. That's not true. This is not what he looked like. This is not the complexion of his skin. Revelation 1:7. This is also not the complexion of his skin. Where are you going to see an Israelite crucifix in a church? Probably nowhere. You see, this is a church, man. It's an old school church. But even if they don't have the crucifix, or they might have like the bronze one, right? But they're not insinuating that this was the color of his skin, okay? Because it's just not painted, okay? But when they paint it, yeah, they make it like making sure hey, he wasn't an Israelite, or basically they don't want you to think that he was a black man. You see that? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all been to church before. Y'all be seeing, at least in the Roman Catholic Church, they'll have the actual, body up on the cross. Some churches, they may just have something like this on the inside where it's just a cross. Okay, but you're not going to see an Israelite on there. Okay, you're not going to see a so-called black man on there. Okay, and so this is wrong. This is false. This is iconoclasm. Going back to actually, that was the point in that. I'm going to close out in these last two scriptures, Jeremiah chapter 23 and 27. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that they shall no more say, Yahuwah liveth, which brought up the children out of the land of Egypt, but Yahuwah liveth, which brought up and which led the seed, the offspring, the generation that proceeds from the current generation, which is basically, when you go down, 3 or 4 generations, that's that same generation coming back in the reincarnation. It says, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country. Okay, so this is what's going to be said. The Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all the countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Okay, we were scattered, man. We were scattered. Esau didn't go into the land of Israel and get the so-called Negroes. He went into West Africa because we were, we fled to West Africa, man. Now we were ruling during the medieval times. Okay, but after the time of that little season, which Satan has been loosed, which we'll read here in Revelation 20, we had to get up out of the places where we were ruling. This is Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven having the key of the bottomless pit. The bottomless pit is Europe. Okay, and a great chain in his hand. That great chain represents captivity, slavery, basically, dominion over, us having dominion over, the dragon, like we're about to read in verse 2. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, talking about Esau. Okay, after the Roman Empire came basically the Holy Roman Empire, which transitioned into the Byzantine Empire. Okay, and basically starting from around the time of Constantine, Constantine the Great, around 325 AD, up until the time of the Renaissance, around 1300, the 1300s, Esau was bound 1,000 years. That 1,000-year period was from around 300 AD to 1300 AD. Okay, just look it up, man. Look it up. If you've never heard of the Renaissance, just look it up. Okay, but during that time period, Esau, the self-proclaimed white man, was relegated to the Caucasus Mountains. Okay, after he came out, that's when he started taking over slowly but surely. And now we think that the Europeans they were always white. Nope, that's not true. He just came recently within the past, several hundred years. And verse 3, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up. That bottomless pit being Europe. Being shut up basically mean that he was taken out of the power seat and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more. He would have no more mind control. He would have no more government to control the mind until the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. Again, the 1,000-year period was from 300 to 1300, simplified. Okay, 300 AD to 1300, And after that, he must be loosed a little season. So we're in that little season period where he's the freaking devil is loose, But it's okay because we're almost out of here, man. Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. Hopefully it answered the question of if American slavery is a punishment from the Most High. Certainly is. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahuwah, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rachak, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.